All right, we're going to go ahead and go directly to character sheet and set our characters, clans, attributes, and abilities ourselves. So we are going to be playing as a Toreador. And so the story, as I've described in the What game, is this. You know, most Toreadors, they're artists, they're into beauty. There's so many of them are painters and different things like that. That is not what we are. We were a writer. We were a writer of truly terrible, like, pulp fiction detective novel type stuff. Just like really, really awful niche stuff that was just terrible. You know, it was a dark and stormy night. A night not fit for man or woman, and yet there we were. But we didn't notice that we were soaked with rain because of the heat of our just like, just awful, right? Somehow, for some reason, some Toreador loved our work and thought we were just the absolute shit and decided to embrace us. Whether we are truly fit to be a vampire at all, let alone a Toreador in particular, is going to be a bit open for debate. And we're gonna feel a little bit different. But yes, absolutely, if there is an opportunity to suit someone, we're gonna have to hit that button for sure, 100%. One of the first things we're going to experience here as a result of the Plus patch is this history option, which is a feature that had been set up for the game, but wasn't finished or wasn't activated in the live version. You actually could access these somewhat via the console, but the Plus patch adds it to the character creation. What we're going to take here, just because it's going to mix it up, right? The Toreador, everyone plays them as like floofy, you know, oh, I love shiny things and I want to sex all the stuff. No, we're going with rapacious bloodlust for our history. The embrace brought out a mean streak in you. You're constantly fighting the urge to kill, even as your power to do so grows. In my opinion, what I was thinking... Hold on, I'm going to bring the sound... How's the sound? It's probably not too loud, is it? In my opinion, one of the reasons that our character here was writing these sort of detective crime novels is so he could really... He loved describing really grisly murders. You know, he would go into, like, really almost excessive levels of detail. He regaled in that sort of literary bloodlust, and now he's maybe going to be fighting that in the real world. Uh-oh, Bucky Lastard's coming in with some puns. What do you call it when a vampire loses track of his coffin? A grave situation! That's actually really good, actually. Alright, so we're going to go with that. So we'll hit next. With rapacious bloodlust, so we are more likely to frenzy. And in addition to that, we do start with a free point in strength and brawl, which is great, because early on, we're just going to kind of claw the shit out of everything. I mean, we're not actually going to have, Protean, right, which would allow us to actually have, like, you know, bestial claws and things like that. But that's basically it. We're just going to punch and scratch at everything early on, because early on, especially the guns are fairly, weak. We might do some gunplay later on. Now, one of the things you can do with a Toreador, because they have access to auspex, which can boost their perception, and perception is used for firearm skill. One of the very viable builds you can go for as a Toreador is a crazy gun fu type person. You pop your auspex, you get massive amounts of perception, and you just like pew 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 everything. I think we feel like we want to be a little bit more hands-on. I mean, literally, if we can tear into someone's flesh, that's what we're looking for. So we're going to be more of a brawly melee kind of build whenever possible. I think that's going to be a much more fun experience. And in terms of fitting into here, we're going to have tons of celerity. So we're going to be really fast. We're going to be like Neo in the Matrix. Is going to be fine. So at character creation over here, and yes, I'm going to name myself Quill. I guess I remember that from our last playthrough. That is actually interesting. Name ourselves Quill, which I think is a very appropriate name for a Toreador writer, right? Exactly. So we got that. Then we got some points to spend. As a Toreador, we can put no points into physical. We do start with the extra point in strength, so that's going to be handy. Everything starts at 1, and then we get an extra point in strength because of our background. I think Nosferatu actually start with 0 appearance, and they can never put any points in the appearance. Nosferatu are, like, sinfully ugly. Now, we have 2 points you can spend in social. At character creation, we're really incentivized for optimal play to put all our points into one thing whenever possible, because later on when you want to level up your stats in the game, you gain experience points in the game, and you use the experience points to buy stats, and the more dots you have in something, the more expensive it is. So ideally we'd want to put lots of dots in one thing now, and then we can use our experience to sort of spread things out for a little cheaper later on. So we're going to go with a lot of charisma right now, because charisma is going to give us a bunch of extra persuasion. We're going to want to raise our manipulation. Is that not seduction? Oh no, appearance. We're going to maybe want to raise our appearance later on to do more seducey things. But again, we're sort of a little defying the standard Toreador a little bit, in that we are not super duper maximally sexy right out of the box. That was never our thing. I mean, we just basically hid behind a typewriter and that was it, you know? But maybe, you know, we can bring out a little bit of that. In fact, I suspect we will, because I think we'll be putting some points in the subterfuge, which is part of seduction, and we'll be boosting it over there. But I want to start with charisma, which is going to give us some persuasion skill, which is also going to be useful. In terms of mental, what I'm going to do here is actually put a point into intelligence, and there's going to be two reasons for that. Intelligence boosts intimidation, which again will give us more dialogue options, and that's the thing. I want us to use dialogue options a lot, but then when combat starts, we just basically go into a frenzy, and no stealth. Now, maybe it's because the real physical Quill over here hates doing stealthy shit, which is ironic because the way I'm playing Cyberpunk right now is like just like stealth assassinations all over the place. But yeah, when it gets into combat, we're just going to be just rip and tear right from the start. But we're going to make attempts, and you know, we're fairly smart. We were a bit of a writer. Now we're going to go down to the abilities over here. It's sort of the skill type things. We've got a few points where we can spend things. Over knowledge, I'm going to put 2-point investigation, and the reason I'm going to do that is because, no, sorry, I'm wrong. Scholarship? Scholarship. Yeah, that's actually what I want to do. Because what I want to do is boost research. So research is a combination of intelligence and scholarship. Research allows you to read books to get more skill points. And again, I feel like makes sense. Again, sort of a writer kind of sexy Doom guy. Right, rip and tear, that's from Doom. So yeah, very much a writer, you know, probably educated. He's probably got at least, you know, at least a bachelor's in English, if not maybe a little bit more. That sort of vibe, right? So intelligence and scholarship make sense. And both of those boost research, and research is required to read books that will give you other skill points. So that'll work out fairly nicely. The high level of intelligence combined with a high level of charisma gives us a persuasion of 5, which throughout, I think, all of Act 1, that's going to be more than enough. Swing over to skills over here. We are not putting any points in stealth because no to stealth. A point of security wouldn't be bad for some lockpicking. Lockpicking uses dexterity and security to do it, and there's a lot of stuff we can do with some lockpicking. It might not be bad. The other thing I'm wondering is we could put a point into melee so that we're better with weapons early on, but I think because we've got a point in brawl, we can probably just do more unarmed right away. I think I want to start with a point in security. Yeah, security is hella useful in this game. Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to do that, and we might end up with, like, you know, at least a dot or 2 in dexterity at some point. Something like that. I don't know. We got some more whiskey and chocolate. Hold on one sec. Now we have 3 points we can spend in talents, which actually seems like a pretty substantial amount here. What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to put all 3 points into subterfuge, which will give us a seduction of 4. So we're not naturally gorgeous, right? That's not really our vibe. We're not naturally gorgeous, but we can talk a really good game. A really good game. It is worth noting in this game, and it's not completely balanced, the opportunities between male and female characters for seductions. I think female characters actually get slightly more opportunities to make use of it, but it's going to be okay. We may not ever need to like supersize it. We might just keep seduction at 4, you know, because again, we're going to be pretty good at it, but we're not going to be god tier. At it, but we'll see. We'll probably start with this and then start putting points into some more combat-y things as we get some experience, because that'll line up, I think, pretty well for when we start getting to combat. We'll appreciate having it there. We have 1 point we can spend in discipline, so disciplines are your supernatural abilities as a vampire. Each clan has access to 3 of them. There's some overlap, like, you know, there's like 2 or 3 clans that have celerity, 2 or 3 clans that have presence, for example. But maybe only 1 other clan that has auspex? If anyone? Is it Ventru? Shamir? I don't know. I think I don't know. Anyway, so that sort of thing. But no other clan has the combination of auspex, celerity, presence. Celerity is awesome. Awesome fun. You know, this is where celerity is your vampiric speed, right? Like how vamps move really, really quick. And in this game, the way they do it, which is the way you normally do it in computer games when they're single player, activating celerity slows down everyone else. Celerity is really good. We're really looking forward to pumping the crap out of this. If we were doing gunplay, so Auspex does reveal the aura, so you can identify what species as well as what clan certain critters are. They also give you a point to boost to wits and perception, which can give you some really interesting things. And again, with gunplay, with firearms, which uses so range combat uses perception, you can go into crazy gun fu. We're not going to be doing that. Presence we probably will use. What's great about presence is it gives your opponents who are nearby a penalty to their strength, wits, and perception. So they all start to suck a lot more in combat. And as you add more points into this, it dramatically increases that penalty, while also giving them a chance to become mesmerized where they won't do anything. So presence is actually stupid useful. Presence also gives you conversation options. I don't think it matters how many dots you've got. As long as you have presence, it opens up new conversation options. I think that's only part of the plus patch and does use some blood. It is worth noting, if you've never played the game before, investigation may be worth picking up because it leads to inspection. Perception plus investigation gives you investigation and perception gives you inspection. Inspection actually highlights objects in the world, so it makes it easier to spot like hidden items and loot and things like that. So if it is your first playthrough, inspection's actually kind of nice, but it otherwise it provides no real benefits to gameplay. So once you've played it a little bit, you don't usually grab it. Well, subterfuge is the act of like, subtlety, conceal all your motives, deceive others, and it is used for seduction. I mean, deceiving others, seduction. They have a bit of a dark opinion of how seduction works, but sure. So anyway, we're going to go with this. I think I like it. We're not going to have auto level on. That's good. We are going to skip the intro. We're going to skip the intro just because I've gone through it about 30,000 times. We're also going to go, we're going to skip the tutorial. So it's going to start us right after the intro. I'm going to skip the tutorial and I will explain to you what we would have seen in the intro here. Hey, how's it going?
What a scene, man. Woo-wee. Then they just plop you out here like a naked baby in the woods.
Okay, I'm going to bring up the volume because I think it's a little quiet, isn't it? Hopefully tabbing in and out doesn't crash the game.
Why don't you let me show you the ropes? What do you say?
Does sound like Bender.
I'm Jack. What's important is I'm offering help.
You get a gun and a lockpick tutorial.
You're hiding, we'll trade life stories, okay? Till then, I got about this much time.
Yes, I will move myself over. And this is literally the same person who does Bender in Futurama. It's amazing. Let me move myself a little more over here. Don't think it'll really cover too much up there. I think it might cover what item I have equipped, but I think that's going to be fine. So I'm going to say yeah, no, I don't need your help.
Youngsters these days. Well, your funeral, kiddo.
And whatever, I can take care of myself. Alright, so it's a bit rude, and it will technically make the game a little bit more annoying because we don't start with some free stuff. I think at some point in the fan patch, they had it so that if you skip the tutorial, you still started with the items that you would have gotten in the tutorial, but I think that has since been reverted. If we check our inventory, yeah, I have nothing. So, that's okay. That's all fine. We're going to be A-okay. But, like, my God, these windows and these shaders and the high-resolution textures. Yes, it's true. This is a much improvement over the original base game. I believe F9 is the quick save. Let me just go and confirm that. F9 is quick save. So we will do this. Oh, the one thing, if you run the unofficial patch, this gameplay tab, this will confirm whether or not you are running on the plus version or not. If you're not running on the plus version, if you have the patch installed, but you're not running the plus version, you won't see this auto renew and disciplines option, for example. If you're running the plus version, it enables that. So this means if I toggle on my celerity, it runs for, I think, 24 seconds. And with that on, when it runs out, it'll auto renew. That way I don't have to worry about micromanaging my disciplines in combat. It does mean I have to manually hit a button to cancel my disciplines to stop them from continuously renewing and consuming all of my blood. If you skip tutorial, you have to use $100 to buy lockpicks from pawn shops. The only downside, and 2 experience points. Yeah, so it seems okay. So what we missed in the intro is we were embraced. So being embraced, of course, is the act of making someone into a vampire. The way it works in this game is you get bitten, you get drained to basically the edge of death, and then you get fed vampire blood. And then what happens is that's the act that turns you into a vampire. However, each city has a prince. A prince runs each city. I don't think there's really, other than when you get into certain elders and things like that, that's really the peak of vampire society. There's no, there's no king, there's no emperor, there's no, countrywide government. So there's a prince of a city. And the prince is the person who gives permission to embrace, to make new vamps. And it's an important part of maintaining the Masquerade, which is the cover, the pretending that vampires don't really exist. Breaking the Masquerade typically gets a blood hunt called on you and gets you killed. All vamps are out there to kill you. So our sire never got permission to embrace us, so she was killed in a trial. We were nearly killed. A couple of people spoke up for us, so we are allowed to still be alive, but we're very much beholden to the prince, and we were sent here to Santa Monica, I believe, to do some work for him. Is kind of the Anarch start, that would be a little different. So that is the situation that we find ourselves in. There is a third party. In fact, combat is always in third person over here. I don't remember if gunplay can be done. It's possible if you have a gun, you can stay in first person. But when you're doing any kind of melee, it always pops you out to third person like this for whatever reason, even though I would be quite happy to melee in first person. That would be okay. Guns are in first person. Okay, excellent. So this is our lovely apartment. I love the filthy, filthy, filthy mattresses here. It's just lovely. This place must reek. Hey, Lacuna Coil. Absolutely. I mean, none of these things are on straight. Just grody all over the place. Luckily, we don't need to eat. Although there's a pizza there. Ooh, with olives. Oh, delicious. But yeah, we don't really do that. We could watch TV, we could listen to the radio. There is actually some great story stuff that happens on here. You guys can read the text up top for what's being talked about here, but we can get a little bit of background story from that. We've got a note here. At your convenience, please come and visit me in my home downtown. I leave you this to guide you. Dark blood, our curse. A light, this verse. Such power I sense in one so young. Come find me where burns the mystical sun. M. Strauss, Tremere region. So the region is the city's leader of a clan. So this is the leader of the Tremere clan. They are blood wizards, basically. Hey, the password for your computer is sunrise. Keep the cash in the drawer, it's yours. I dropped you an email with my address. Come on over after you get settled. Check the drawer over here. We get a money envelope with 100 buckaroos. Excellent. Oh, we use a computer. I do like the way the computers are implemented here. We can type email. Password we know is sunrise. But passwords are fixed, so if you know what they are, you can actually just type them in the game. So we got a few emails. So there's Guy Mercurio. He's going to contact you when you arrive in Santa Monica. Waste no time in meeting with him. So this is from La Croix. This is the prince of the city. This is our job. This is the reason we are allowed to be alive is because we are working for the prince. And if we don't work for him and do some work for him and prove that we can behave in vampire society, that's it for us. So we sort of have to go along with this one, at some point, probably. Much like, and I like that this is back in 2004, right? This released in 2004. But even then, just spam was just a reality all the time, 100%. You could never get away with it. It was just in existence. It's one of my favorite things in Cyberpunk. I check every computer and read every spam because it's really fantastic. Kilpatrick's Crime Pewter. So this is more spam, but this is actually story relevant. No, actually, the penis enlargement, super story relevant as well. I'm sorry. I know it's a huge spoiler. It's a huge spoiler, if you know what I mean. But the penis enlargement, very relevant to the plot. Anyway, so we get some spam that there is Arthur Kilpatrick. He does bail bonds and track down people. And that's very interesting. Okay. We got an email from Mercurio here. So this is our contact that we have to meet. Come over to my place and talk once you get situated. I'm going to pick up some explosives right now. Some astrolite. I should be back by the time you come over. I'm at 24 Main Street in number 4. Walk to the end of the alley in my buildings. The next one over to the right.
night.
Gotcha.
Witnesses say that they were shocked when the negative 0 star emerged unscathed
From a friend.
and apparently
The game
unfazed
begins,
by his
a
high-speed
pawn
accident.
is moved.
Rivers' agent released a statement stating that Rivers'
Alright,
crash
so we can
was due
quit
to a
out of here.
mechanical problem and that
I'm going
the
to toggle
studio
off
is
the
not-
TV. Thank you very much. And we've got a couple things to grab in the bathroom. We have a pill bottle over here. It's like, oh, pills, we can use that to heal or something, right? No, they're just estrogen pills that are sitting around for some reason. They're just stuff we sell. It's just sellable loot. As a vamp, we don't heal from medicine anyway. We heal via blood. We've got a watch over here we can sell for a few extra bucks, which is great as well. And in the fridge, we've got 3 blood packs available, which is going to be very, very handy and useful. And that's it for our apartment. We're probably going to burn through Act 1 fairly quickly here because I've done Act 1 like a billion times, and I don't want to linger too much. If we did have a lockpick right now, we could open the lock across the way, and there's some extra loot. We'll have to come back to it a little bit later. We can check out the newspaper here. Carnival of Death! Gruesome remains on the pier. Police baffled. I'm sure that's not relevant to what's going on in any way whatsoever. In fact, I think later on, is it in this place that there is actually going to be a hidden key here? I might be wrong about what apartment. It might not be this one. It might be one down the stairs. But I think later on there's a hidden key here to open up maybe this door. Because, yeah, maybe it's the one by the paper here that we'd normally lockpick. I like how the door over here doesn't have a handle. The game's very subtle at telling you, this is not a real door, just ignore it. And then we've got our mail here. There's nothing in there right now. But that's ours there with the name scratched out. Done and done. We'll get a conversation right away in a second here. Boop, 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 boop.
You got some change, mister?
So here's the thing, we could give him money, which would give us a point of humanity. So one of the traits that exists in this game is humanity. I believe we start with humanity of 7, 10 is the max. And this represents how close to being human you still are in terms of mentality. As you do things that are more and more and more terrible in here and give in to the beast, which is one of the big themes in Vampire the Masquerade, your humanity drops. And when you run out of humanity completely, you are basically just completely succumb to the beast, and you are no longer a you're no longer a player character, actually. It ends you the game here, and in the tabletop version, that's it as well. The Dungeon Master just grabs your character sheet, and that's it. You're just basically a wild creature at that point. So we can gain a point of humanity if we gave him some money. Actually, as a Toreador, any humanity we gain or lose, I think, is doubled because we are a little closer to humanity. But, I could go for a bite. You hungry? I am too. We do seem to be all alone in the alley. I like the conversation doesn't actually do anything. It's like, forces you to come over here and F them. Now, people who are sick, who are drunk, who are not in good physical health, they don't give you much blood. This person, their blood bar shrank really soon. If you don't stop feeding before the blood runs out, they die. And in this case, that would have given us a humanity penalty because we would have just killed a completely innocent person here. You can feed someone to death in a combat situation. That's totally okay. I recall correctly, the description for Humanity 0 used to be, what game are you playing? There's a little bit more blood over there. So it's going to be relevant in just a second. We got police over here. Tattoo parlor over there. A couple of people wandering around. That is a medical clinic. We'll definitely be visiting that. We'll be visiting that at least, 3 times? Depending on what order we do things in. I don't know. A little fella over here, too. Now, here's...
The taxpayers are certainly not
save here.
their money's worth.
E and F are very close to each other. I have to hit E to interact here.
I'm going to need a shower.
There's going to be at least one time I'm going to go up to talk to someone. I'm going to hit F instead and start feeding. Which you don't want to do in the open like this, because that would be a Masquerade violation. Also, criminal action. So not only would all the vampires be pissed, the police would also be pissed.
Not getting their money's worth. Yes, is there something I can help you with?
What are you doing?
Waiting for that blasted tow truck I called an hour ago. I'd rather not wait another second in this part of town, this time of night. It's rather a dreadful place, don't you think? I should have listened to my mechanic. Buy German, he said.
So you can see all the funky fonts over here. These represent conversation options that are available because of our various stats. The sort of pinkish purple one, that is seduction. So we have enough seduction. It wouldn't be there if we didn't have the stats. The blue, I believe, is persuasion. And the red here, this is because we have presence. So presence is just that, you know, that vampire trait of being, you know, you notice us. We have a dominating presence. We're very impressive, and people feel like they sort of have to listen to us because we're very authoritative. It's a young Travolta. Yeah, a little bit, right? So if we go with option number 1 here, we can get some money. Option number, I think he gives us $20 right away. If we had enough Intimidate, we could actually go above and beyond that. We could take all his money and his watch, although I think we'd lose humanity for robbing him. Option 2 and option 3 are ways that we can lead him into the back alley so that we can drain a little bit more blood. I think right now I'd prefer a little bit of cash, to be honest, right now, rather than just yoinking him into